Water is the most basic need we as humans have. However, clean drinking water is one of the biggest challenges facing reserves across Canada. Within this documentary, we will explore the challenges faced by the Kainai Reserve and their current situation with clean drinking water. Various perspectives will be explored and other opinions will be expressed on how this situation can be handled. So can you just tell me your name and what you do in the community?
My name is Paulette Vox, and I'm a member of the Blood Tribe, and I own my own business. It's an environmental consulting company.
Okay. And do you live on reserve?
I do.
Okay. And what's your water situation like at home?
Well, I have a unique perspective because I worked with the tribe, but at home I'm very lucky. I live at my parents' homestead where they have groundwater, and so it's spring water. But I also have lived in other places, residents here in the community, and we have to get our water shipped, transported, and so that's the home situation.
Professionally, how do you feel about the water situation that's happening here in your community?
We were lucky when I was working with the tribe in about 2010. We got some funding from Environment Canada and a partnership with one of the post-secondary institutions to do some water quality monitoring and of source water, so mainly surface water from the rivers. And then, so what that taught us was that there's a lot of contamination that's entering the rivers through off-reserve activities, and mainly there's a lot of hormones and estrogen in there, likely from steroid use from the livestock, intensive livestock. And then, so we did testing, and we're bounded by 3 major rivers. So there was some points along the rivers that we tested over the testing period.
And so how does that affect the community from the rivers being contaminated?
Well, there isn't a lot of knowledge about it, and so there seems to be a lot of things that enter the river that people don't know about. And the water gets filtered that comes from the river, and so there's what it gets filtered and treated for. There's a lot of things that aren't filtered or treated, things like estrogen. So when you think about it, if there's too much estrogen in the water, is that going to have an impact on people? How much do they have to have to intake where it becomes a detrimental substance? So those things we don't know. Not enough research, but we did, as part of our monitoring program, do a video with Environment Canada, which is online.
Okay.
So I think it's under Kainai Water.
Okay. So how has the water quality affected you or people that you know?
Well, I have a cultural connection. The Beaver Bundle is a water-based bundle, and so my work was always trying to tie in the cultural and the language and connecting people to the bigger picture that we're not the only ones who consume water, that animals need water, that we need water in the ground, and we also need to understand as a community that the water that's coming on reserve is not being flagged, and that we need a better awareness of what's in the water and what we can do to help prevent us being detrimentally contaminated.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you feel about there not being some running water though in the community?
Well, it is harder if you have you gotta have a cistern, some access to water.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people will get their water, or they'll call us and we'll deliver it.
Yeah.
So we have wells that come from, like I said, further out in the country that pump it into the water plant. So the quality is better now than it was before. So
That's good.
yeah.
If you were gonna change this situation, how would you change it so that people wouldn't have to order their water?
Well, you'd have to probably, everyone would have to have a water line, and it's pretty hard with the reserve our size to have. Well, we could have a bigger water plant, like maybe 2 big water plants on the north side, and then maybe on the south of the reserve. But it's a lot of maintenance, and there's always breaks. So when the breaks happen, we're always kind of scrambling around, and So that's why they have cisterns.
Yeah.
They deliver the water, and so far there hasn't been too much of a problem.
No, it's been helpful.
And then some have wells too on their property.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
After talking with these individuals and working professionals from the Kainai Reserve that have struggled with the current water situation, we now look to the Lethbridge Water Treatment Facility to gain a deeper understanding of how this issue may be resolved. The water is collected from the river. The large debris is separated and then pushed to a coagulation mixer, where polyaluminum chloride is the first chemical to be mixed into the water. This makes the microscopic particles and other contaminants into larger particles so that they can sink to the bottom. This mixer holds 1 million gallons. By using anthracite coal and sand, the water is pushed through to create a filtration system that will catch bacteria particles such as E. coli. Disinfection of the water with chlorine is a way to protect public health from disease-causing organisms that can be found in the river. The risk to public health is reduced further by treatment with ultraviolet light. Before the water leaves the treatment plant, they combine the chlorine with ammonia to form chloramine. These 2,000 horsepower pumps distribute water which serves 120,000 people. The Lethbridge Water Treatment Facility sells and pumps water to surrounding communities such as Coaldale and Pincher Creek. Although building a water treatment facility at this capacity would be a part of the solution to the Kainai Reserve water situation, we must also understand the political side of this issue as well.
My name is Deandra Brewsted. I was hired on as the climate change coordinator for Blood Tribe Land Management. So what that entails right now is we collaborated between Blood Tribe Land Management and the Rockies Institute. They're a nonprofit organization in Canmore, Alberta.
So do you live on reserve or off of reserve?
Half and half. So my parents live on the reserve, and because I work out here, I do stay at their place often, right?
Are you directly affected at all by the water here, like the water quality or getting your water?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So at my dad's place, we can't drink out of the tap at all.
Okay.
And where he lives, there's a lot of magnesium in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So that really it caused a lot of issues with plumbing. We have very low kind of water pressure. And you can't drink it without kind of getting a little bit sick. It just has a really weird taste. But just growing up, we've always been taught don't drink the water.
Yeah. So how do you guys get your water or drink water then if you can't drink out of the tap?
We have to purchase those large bottles of water.
Okay.
So locally at the trading post they have them, because as far as I know, most people actually on the reserve have to get their water imported.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just go to the trading post and get those large bottles. So if you bring in, if you already had one, it's just $5 to replace it. But obviously that's going to add up.
So growing up, what was that like, knowing that you couldn't drink the water?
Well, growing up, that was just common knowledge. And then I would go into town, into
mm-hmm.
Lethbridge, visit friends' places, and they'd be drinking out of the tap. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How could you? And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So that kind of, early on knew that there was something wrong with our water. Yeah, and so, just from an early age, you figure out it is just a reserve thing. And then going to school, I took an independent study at the U of L with Professor Stuart Rood, and I got to look at the St. Mary Dam, just kind of the water rights issue and how that worked for this reserve specifically. And it really kind of put to terms how reserves, we're under federal jurisdiction, and the water in Alberta is under provincial jurisdiction. So we kind of fall between the cracks.
Yeah.
And municipalities, they can, if they've purchased their own water treatment plant, the way they maintain it is through taxes. Come to the reserve, we don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
Which is, that was part of the treaties. But unfortunately with that, even if we got either government to pay for a water filtration process, because, all Indigenous reserves do go, they don't have drinkable water. Even if we were to get a water treatment plant, there's no real way of maintaining it without, again, depending on the government. And I know that through our sovereignty, you know, we really want to work away from depending on the government. So how do we get, you know, this economic independence, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really difficult kind of water issue in itself, right?
If you had all the resources,
all the
resources, how do you think it would be possible to fix this?
I think it would be really putting lots of regulations on fertilizer dumping upstream from farmers and ranching agriculture, right? That puts a lot of nitrogen into the water, a lot of bacteria, a lot of E. coli. So really putting a lot of regulations on those, and I know there's hardly any, right? Right? Alberta government is in their pockets, or vice versa, right? They're in bed together. And if I had all the resources, what I would do, I guess, would be, to set up kind of a treatment plant, and then get the people who use it to pay some sort of money, you know. And it might look like taxes, but at the same time, it's like, well, what do you want? Like, you can't just take everything for free, unfortunately. It sucks that we don't have our water anymore. It sucks that we don't have, you know, clean land anymore to live, you know. If I could do it, I would love to, like, clean up the land. I would love to just have, like, a clean land and clean water to live off of, but we don't. And unfortunately, in this economy, we do depend a lot on money. So we do have to get money in. If we could, we could have, you know, like an aquaponics system that naturally just treats itself, you know, filters itself. So let's get there. How do we get there? So we take this step by step. And we raise awareness in the community. I mean, we all know that we're Gimadopsy. It's a little not so much, we're lower on the socioeconomic standards of Canada. You know, we do have, you know, poorer living conditions than, you know, outside of the reserves. Well, how do we get up there? How do we make it better? We can't focus on the past. The past was sad. Okay, how do we get our socioeconomic standards up to standard? And then with that, you know, how can we serve our people better by treating the water, by treating the land, you know? Make them feel more proud about where they live. Like, that's something going through the environmental science program, renewable resource management program. We look at species at risk, right? Take, for example, looking at species at risk, these animals, well, a lot of them are at risk because of human-caused disturbances, right? Okay, well, then let's fix their habitat. And then usually, you know, there's always evidence that shows that once you fix the habitat of these animals, they're gonna, you know, thrive. They're gonna get better. Well, why aren't we looking at that for humans? Right?
Exactly,
If we, you know, better our habitat where we live, clean up the garbage. You know, there's a lot of leaching from illegal dumps, from our own legal dump. All the leaching goes into the riparian areas, gets into our water. You know, it's bad for our system, bad for the humans. So let's clean that up, clean up where we live, and then maybe we can thrive better.
So.